And good afternoon, LinkedIn Live. It's your host, Steve Ferreira, OK Boomer live production here on a beautiful, is today Wednesday? It is Wednesday afternoon. And definitely an impromptu session of LinkedIn Live with Steve Ferreira. You're looking at my show called OK Boomer Live. We broadcast quite often from Hartford, Connecticut. And I'm Steve Ferreira, CEO of Ocean Audit. And Ocean Audit is a refund recovery firm specializing in ocean freight transportation. And today we have done it. We have cracked the code on Nintendo. And I'm hoping that we get gaming people, gaming analysts, people that are really interested in the gaming community, especially as it relates to Nintendo and what Nintendo may have coming in for the Christmas season. I believe I've been able to help contribute to that knowledge base. And I started thinking about today's show for a couple of different reasons, a couple of different ways, right? One was that, all too often we're hearing the whole thing like with final mile, right? Final mile delivery. And that's really well and good, for the end user, the customer, to have great final mile service, from port to warehouse, or warehouse to warehouse, or DC to, deconsolidation center to warehouse. And so, but final mile is really interesting, right? Because, if you think about it, consumers, right, to have that predictive power of when an item will be back in stock, or, how about another competing, consortium where, one company is bringing in, a whole ton of products, say 35 containers of vacuums, and to have the intelligence that those have just come in, to the port in Houston, and they're right at the warehouse now. And, you sell Cleva vacuums, they sell Cleva vacuums. What if you could get the jump on your competitor and, price your products so that you not only do you price them competitively, but if you have them in stock, you're moving them out. It's a way to use predictive elements and algorithms, in a unique way, in the consumer, in the retail space, wholesale distribution category. And nowhere else does this in fact affect industries such as the import-export industry, specifically inbound from Europe or from Asia. And so to get a predictive ability on what people are doing and competitors are doing, companies and consultants are turning to big data, looking at customs and manifesting and all different types of programming. But still, it's very much an art rather than a science. So what I've tried to do today is to, pare down that example of something that's kind of interesting, final mile. I mean, it won't blow you away with the whole issue of vacuums, but let's take a look and give you an idea what I mean in terms of how that all works out. Okay, so let me share my screen with you real quick, and I want to talk about the issue of these Cleva vacuums, right, that are running around at Walmart. Now, one of the things that's interesting about these vacuums, right, is that you can see they're in real time, and they're resellers, right? They're not sold by Amazon. They're sold by a couple of resellers, and these are the Cleva vacuum cleaners you see right there, right? And so the interesting thing about it is that Walmart has, as we speak, 35 of these containers for these Cleva vacuums. About 30 of them have already been picked up yesterday in the Port of Houston. Another 4 have to be cleared and picked up between today and tomorrow. So what I'm getting at is that this is all happening in real time, on these vacuums. So you would expect to see this website, filled up with, Cleva vacuums by Walmart and not necessarily by the resellers. And if you happen to be in that market, then you know that Walmart has that huge volume coming in. You're also able to be very predictive and, to use the data to move prices, similar to the way they say Amazon moves prices based on one buyer to another, right? I don't know if it's true, but I mean, if I could go online and find this vacuum for $98.06, could my neighbor have it for $100 just because I buy a ton load from Amazon? I don't know if, it's to that level of pricing, but it's entirely possible that if Lowe's or Home Depot understands the availability of these vacuums that are soon to come into Walmart, they can be very proactive with that particular SKU, right? And perhaps even run, flash sales on it, or, to do something to get a jump up on that market. So, and again, not because, Walmart is the be all and end all of predicting consumer behavior, but there's a reason why 35 containers of this item came through. Now, it could be potentially it's for Black Friday. I don't know. It could be that they're going to run a special on it in the next week or two, once all these containers are in their flow center in Houston. So, but it's just, really interesting to use big data, and all the possibilities, all the permutations that come with it are really, really, really fascinating. And that's what we try to do in the OK Boomer lifestyle here, and bring you the latest and greatest trends and techniques in ocean freight, supply chain, and sea freight. And I'm your host so far, Steve Ferreira, CEO of Oceanata, and you're watching OK Boomer Live. That was just kind of a teaser in terms of what you can do with really good predictive data. So I'm going to keep my eye out for these vacuum cleaners, and see where things hit over the next week or two, once Walmart gets them in and they're able to devan them and repopulate them into their data centers. So fascinating look internally. And I looked last night, and I try to come up with another show idea. What are the top 10 movers of volume right now from China, for example? You wouldn't believe, out of the top 10, probably 6 out of the top 10 were mattresses and bed frames. I mean, I don't know what it is with this pandemic, but people are sure using up a lot of those products and buying up a lot of those products. Okay, now on to Nintendo. So, as I mentioned earlier, on Nintendo, I tried to do something funny there and took myself out of the audio stream. This show just came together literally in the last 20 minutes. But so I cracked the code on Nintendo, and here's what I found. I've been looking at Nintendo ocean freight data for years. And, I think that one of the things I always thought, Nintendo was just doing a super job protecting and not disclosing. It's almost like with Ryan Peterson of Flexport. He found out years and years ago that, allegedly Apple was bringing in the iPhone. And that was like the first kind of like, chink in the armor that, Apple had to do a better job guarding its product intelligence, and its manifesting of its products, right? Because, you take it for granted, and, you stamp something iPhone, it shows up on a manifest, and, the whole world knows about it. But Nintendo was really clever, right? Let me just shoot over to, so I'm just trying to discern how to describe this. I guess the easiest way is, let me share a screen with you. And I think this would be helpful. So here you have some, I always like B&H Video. They equipped the OK Boomer studio with all the products. So it's all exclusively from BH Photo Video in New York City. We love you guys. And, one of the things you see here is Nintendo has a product code on a lot of their, or most of their items. So they have something called the Joy-Con controllers. And I'll be the first to admit, I know nothing about gaming, right? But you see the product code over here, HACAJ Alpha Alpha Alpha, right? And what I found is I found a hidden code in shipping data, which actually discloses the code of the product. And so I was just playing around with it, and I said, "Holy cow, this is amazing!" And it makes a lot of sense because this is all in real time, right? So these are products that are just coming off the ships in the last day or two. And if you go to this website, for example, at B&H, one of the things that I look at immediately that I suspected I would find is that notice over here it says more on the way, $79.23, notify when available. And that's the thing, right? They're out of stock, right? But using ocean freight, you can quickly analyze which products are coming back into stock. And you can see the hot moving ones and the slow moving ones, because not only is Nintendo disclosing the model numbers, right, through the code I'm picking up, but they're also disclosing the quantity in which they're bringing it in, right? I found some super rare machines that are coming in that are in limited edition. And, basically the whole product line, right? But the show is a flash show today, not meant for a elongated discussion. But if anyone wants to have a detailed discussion, and you're in the news media, or you're at a hedge fund, or you're a stock analyst, gaming analyst, and you want to run a story on it, let's talk. I can give you more color to it. I don't want to give away all my secret sauce, but suffice to say, I just think this is totally fascinating. And another way you can kind of validate my findings on this is you can see here the manufacturer's code over here, HAJCAAAA. And so it all kind of fits with the real-time shipping data, right, that's coming in. So, these are really material items when you can kind of start to say, okay, Nintendo has, 23,000 pieces of this, but only, 500 pieces of this. So you can kind of start to see, where the trends are if you're in the gaming, world and you're a big deal there, and, you're writing about this stuff. I mean, it's really intrinsic to find out what kind of models, Nintendo and even Xbox, right, are bringing in. I mean, this opens up a whole new, genre, right? Forget last mile. This is pre-last mile, right? So this is knowing ahead of the curve, right? And think of the ramifications for financial world and financial analysts and stocks and the whole 9 yards. I mean, to have an idea what might be selling hot, right, for Christmas, excuse me, also gives the JP Morgans and the Merrill Lynch guys and the analysts, a lot more data than they have typically had, right, to deal with. So the point I'm trying to make is shipping data, ocean freight data. Ocean freight is not as just, watching paint dry. It's a living, breathing, very much moving part organism that's just living out there. And I think that, some of you guys may think, well, it's no big deal. It's just a gaming company. But as we're in this COVID environment, right, I think that gaming, right, you see the stocks like Nvidia, any of these huge, stock conglomerates that are electronic driven on the NASDAQ, are purely gold. Now, I think Nintendo was actually private, right? I don't know that for a fact. But to have insight on someone like Nintendo, I think goes a long way, because Nintendo and Microsoft, Xbox, and some of the EA, Electronic Arts, EA, Blizzard, Activision, they're going to be very, very important for this time of the year. And so I wanted to be the first to share with you that I cracked the code on Nintendo, and I just think it helps to cement my expertise to help the community at large and the media really hone in on what's really happening in supply chain, ocean freight, logistics, but most importantly, how to take it to the next level, right? How to get advanced analytics into our everyday life so that we can use it and move those analytics, move the ball forward with the data that we have. So I'm just checking to see if anyone has any comments on it. Yeah, Michael Ford is. It's a great comment from Michael. People need these vacuums for the bad weather and upcoming holiday. Lots of water. I think that the crazy thing about this, Michael, is that the vacuums, the hot pots, the electric pots. I mean, they're all selling like gangbusters, and they're all concentrated in the category. There's a division of Best Buy. I believe it's called, I want to say Infinity. I'm not sure if I've got it quite clear in my mind. But some of the highest moving cargo I've seen in the last 2 or 3 days are from Best Buy on refrigerators, freezers, and this Infinity division, or this private label division that Best Buy has, for wine chillers, wine coolers, right? So it's kind of the whole theme of like alcohol, gaming, home canning. I looked up something a few weeks ago on Ball, Ball, because I remember when my grandmother and mother, right, canned, they used the Ball glass jars, right? The lids on these Ball jars come from Europe, and I mean they're just moving, tons and tons of them in. But before I forget, one of the things I wanted to do on the show today, and by the way, I'm Steve Ferreira, CEO of Oceanata. You're watching OK Boomer Live. We're just talking in general about the code I cracked on Nintendo and a lot of their upcoming products for Christmas. But I found something amazing on Reckitt Benckiser, right? They're the European conglomerate that makes Lysol, right? Lysol. And the first thing I did, I probably shouldn't say this, but the first thing I did when I saw what I saw today on my exclusive data is I saw how much Lysol was coming in to the country, and I said, "Holy cow! Let me go over to, stock brokerage XYZ that I use, and let me look up Reckitt Benckiser, on the price, because if they're moving this much Lysol, I mean, their stock is going to go up." I didn't say that, so I'm not an investment guy, but I'm interested in the materialistic effect of product on earnings, right? So I think it's an important kind of factor. But I saw a lot of Lysol moving in from Reckitt Benckiser. I hope I'm saying that right. I always get that messed up, and I've even met them in the past. One of the things that was really interesting is that the Lysol, believe it or not, I don't know if this will be a surprise to you, but it actually comes from China, right? Not Wuhan, but I think it's Shanghai or one of those cities. But I have the manufacturing site already in my analytics. Yeah, so the Lysol comes from China. I just think that's interesting observation. And I think Michael had another good comment here about talking with people in home building and high-end appliances being in short supply. I can't believe you said that. It's really an appropriate comment. I look at Bosch, Bosch Home Goods, Bosch. Well, we're a European family, right? So we use all Bosch appliances, and Bosch has had such a surge in the amount of goods that they've imported. And just looking at people like Whirlpool and Best Buy, there are, I would agree with Michael. I would say appliances, higher end appliances, are one of the 10 most major moving items right now. And I definitely know, living here in Connecticut, we spent the last year and a half, my family all over the state, looking for, a potential new home, right? We're still kind of, iffy about moving, but we were in Westport, Connecticut, where there's a lot of really high-end homes, and, talking about, the Sub-Zeros and all that stuff. I mean, a lot of these appliances, can cost in the $20,000-$30,000 range. So, a lot of margin on it. And, if you look at the amount of containers coming in, and especially like, more new build, not necessarily track homes, like, I don't mean track in a bad way from like Pulte or Toll Brothers or any of these home builders, right? But they have a stock product that they use. And seeing the resurgence in these items lends me to believe that housing, is certainly potentially one area that is could be recovering, because where are all these refrigerators going to go? So, Michael, I think you're Michael Ford at BDP. Shout out to you about that. That's a great point. So, I think this timing went well. Normally, when we run LinkedIn live streams, LinkedIn likes us to keep it at least a minimum of a 10-minute show, so that we can get the bandwidth. But I am really pleased the way today's show went. I like to report this news, and I hope that it will cascade out to people in the community from the replay that are interested in this kind of data as we start to move forward. So I want to thank everyone for attending today's OK Boomer Live TV episode. I'm your host, Steve Ferreira, CEO of Ocean Audit, and we'll probably be back on with another show and the topics soon to be revealed this Friday before Labor Day. Give you a little Labor Day fun. Maybe we'll play the 25 question game again. That seemed to go really well. So for all my fans, followers, and friends, this is Steve Ferreira signing off, and we'll see you on the comment section below. Thanks and cheers.